Apps. Everyone uses them. But do you think about what you are accepting when you sign up for those apps? Most people don't. Have you ever been entered into a law-binding contract or watched a law show? Well, if you have, you know that someone always mentions reading the fine print of a contract. When signing up for an app, most people don't think they are signing up for a law-binding contract, and they certainly don't think about reading the fine print. What is this contract and fine print? Well, it is the terms and conditions for an app. Every app you sign up for has terms and conditions, whether you think about it or not. The terms and conditions for an app are very important. They contain crucial information about what a company is and isn't allowed to do with the information you give them. How does this apply to everyday life? Well, in your lifetime, you most likely have already agreed to countless terms and conditions. It is time to figure out what exactly you are agreeing to. Recently, the Mark Zuckerberg trials surfaced on the internet as a hot topic due to its so-called scandal-like nature. To understand the importance of these trials, we must understand the background behind them. On March 16th, the New York Times and The Guardian published that a data mining firm by the name of Cambridge Analytica had gained access to more than 50 million user profiles in Facebook. This news prompted experts to assume that voting may have been swayed due to this access of profiles. More people were targeted on voting for specific candidates. Having access to this data caused Cambridge Analytica to use the data, analyze one's personality, gather information of people related to one, as well as friends, and ultimately change audience behavior. In the words of Christopher Wylie, Cambridge Analytica is a full-service propaganda machine. In an interview with The Guardian, Wylie also described how its CEO, Alexander Nix, attracted support from the then Breitbart editor Steve Bannon, and investment from the billionaire Robert Mercer before obtaining help from the Cambridge professor Alexander Kogan to harvest tens of millions of Facebook profiles. This data was claimed to be deleted once the news reached the public, but many say that this data has not been deleted. Because of this breach of privacy, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg came under society's fire. Due to the improper use of their information, the ease of accessibility for developers like Kogan to gather information from accounts, and previous spread of misinformation after 2014 elections, many Facebook users are deleting their accounts. In the Zuckerberg trials, Facebook's CEO was questioned and testified in the presence of the Senate, which resulted in the final response that Facebook was going to be taking their privacy one step further. If a user goes 3 months without using an app, Facebook will cut off developer access to any information about that user, similar to a previous rule set by Facebook to stop access to information about one's friends. For any developers who did have access to the information about a user and all their friends, even from 2014, Zuckerberg has stated that Facebook is going to demand that the developers submit to an audit or be kicked off the platform. Is this going to fix the problem? Well, researchers and experts consider it to be a start, as Zuckerberg is dealing with multiple crises at once regarding the developer's access to information, newsfeed integrity, and more. As you all know, every app comes with terms and conditions. But do you really know what comes in those terms and conditions? Every app has their own specific terms and conditions. Some apps ask more than others. Most people don't even know what apps ask for before accepting. As Mr. Mitchell once said, making informed decisions is important. So, here is some scary information about these terms and conditions you are agreeing to. One of the major apps that most of you probably use is Snapchat. Some of the terms and conditions contained within Snapchat's terms and conditions will shock and maybe even horrify you. To start with, Snapchat says you retain whatever ownership rights in that content you had to begin with, but you grant us a license to use that content. That means that whenever you take a picture, video, or text on Snapchat, they have the ability to use it. In addition to the ability to use whatever content of yours they want, they can use that content in whatever way they want to without compensating you for it. If they choose to, they can use your pictures, videos, or even voice in ads without paying you for it. Also, any of Snapchat's business partners can do the same. Along that line, Snapchat can access, review, screen, and delete your content at any time and for any reason. So, Snapchat can regulate what you put on your stories. Anything you post can be taken down by Snapchat just because they don't like the opinion you post. They don't have to have a valid reason to take it down. Have you ever had a problem with Snapchat and they ask you to give them feedback? Or have you had an idea of something you want Snapchat to include in the app? Well, if you do submit one of those ideas, Snapchat can use your idea without giving you any credit or compensation for it. Snapchat isn't the only app that has questionable terms and conditions. Various other games and social media apps have interesting terms and conditions, but we don't question them, we just accept it. Why would a game need access to your photos? Why would a game need access to your call information? There is no feasible reason for the apps to need to have that information, but we willingly give them that information without thinking. It is time to start questioning what information we give to apps. Overall, reading terms and conditions to understand what we are really signing up for when downloading an app is very crucial. In the many words enveloped in the terms and conditions of every application lies the potential for a breach in privacy and security of our information, prompting consumers to be aware that what is put out on the internet remains. As scary as this concept is, incidents like the Zuckerberg trials portray the real reason why downloading apps and spreading your information can be very dangerous and risky. Of course, in this day and age, technology is slowly taking over the world, and asking the population to stop downloading apps would be unrealistic and foolish in some sense. However, it is essential for every consumer to recognize what they are signing up for when downloading apps and be cautious of the content they release into the internet. Taking the time to read the terms and conditions of any application, understanding what measures each company is taking to ensure privacy and security of users' personal information, and mainly being educated on any news regarding apps that have potential risk of these guidelines to take immediate action on the consumer side will keep our technology-based nation from further breaches and risks.